Afternoon, everyone. Anybody there? On a little bit early so we can get started at 2 o'clock. If you're popping on, say hello. A little bit dark and gloomy today, isn't it? Afternoon, Dawn. How are you? You doing okay? Oh, hello, Ian. How is everyone today? Afternoon, Peter. Are you feeling a bit pale today, Peter? His blooming light always gets in the way. How is everyone today? What have you been up to this morning? Anything exciting? Oh, too much spirit. Ooh. Man after my own heart. Clearing my craft room and trying to find 2 stamps. Oh, I know the feeling, Peter. I had a bit of a hunt this morning for the Lavinia stamps. I couldn't find them anywhere. Could not find them. Let me put this other light on. Ooh. Might be a bit better if that one's on as well, because it's a tad dark and gloomy, isn't it? Yes, I think we all need to do a bit of clearing of craft rooms every so often, don't we? Better tidying up. So if you can share this Facebook Live for me, that would be fabulous. Share it on your timeline, share it in any groups, share it with anyone you think might be interested in watching. Dong, 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 dong. That's what I'm doing at the moment. I'm sharing it with a few people. Ooh, go away. Afternoon, Annie. Thank you for joining us. When's your next online class, Peter is asking. Well, it's funny you should say that, actually, Peter, because it is going to be on the website this afternoon. Literally just got it sorted this morning. and I'm going to be uploading it after we've finished the live today. So I'll pop something on Facebook as soon as it's available on the website. Afternoon, Valerie. How are you? Hope you're keeping well. And I'll show you a sneaky peek of the card that Ian is doing in this month's card making class, and I'll show you that at the end of the live. So don't let me go without showing you. Oh, pardon me. Oh, I think I'm still full up from last night. Oh. Went out with Ian to an Italian restaurant in Caerphilly called Volare. Oh, and I was absolutely stuffed. Oh, Peter, you are funny. Afternoon, Carolyn. How are you? So this is I say card, but I'm a bit like Sue Wilson. I tend to just do toppery sort of things, and then I can put it on a card later on if I want to. Because you know, anyone can fold a piece of card in half, and you know, that'll make your card. But it's this bit that's the fun bit, isn't it? So oh, love Volare, haven't been yet. Okay. That doesn't quite make sense, Annie. If you've never been, how can you love it? Or do you mean you haven't been since they've reopened? Oh, hello, Beatrice. That's a nice name, isn't it? How are you? Sylvia, afternoon. Welcome. So anyway, cracking on. So this is the sort of the concept I'm doing. I'm actually going to do use different colours in this in today's live, but this one just shows you the sort of the techniques that I'm doing. I'm actually going to be doing the background technique first of all, two slightly different techniques, and I'm going to be using something that I've wanted to play with for ages, which is well, you can get jelly plates, which they come in all sorts of different shapes and sizes. They're quite thick. A lot of people use them for mixed media and all sorts of inky techniques and painty techniques and all sorts of stuff like that. They can be a little bit expensive sometimes. So I thought John next door had bought out this one, which is an A5 media plate. So it is thinner than the jelly plate. But I thought I'd give it a go and see if it does the same sort of things as the jelly plate, because if it does, then you know, why pay extra? So as you can see, it's quite a thin plate. So I'm just having a quick look at the comments. Oh, it's people popping up everywhere. I need a few of those Lavinia thingamybobs, Peter says. As if you haven't got enough Lavinia stamps, eh, Pete? Thank you, Sylvia. Hopefully it'll be a good demo and you might learn something. Or you might teach me something, probably. Thank you very much, Gaynor. Catch up, yeah, it'll be available to watch on Facebook later on, or you can watch it on YouTube. I'll upload it to YouTube a bit later as well. So lots of uploading to do later. So as I said, this media plate is quite a thin plate. It's only a couple of centimetres thick. But if it does the job, that's the main thing really, isn't it? So the stamps I'm going to be using are, unfortunately, I think we're out of stock of all of these at the moment. So if anyone does want, we will be doing another Lavinia stamps order. So if anyone does want any of the stamps that I'm showing today, let us know. Either drop us a message or send us an email, give us a call in the shop, anything like that. So I'm going to be using the Fairy Path, which is this one here, which is what I did, the little pathway there, which is lovely, isn't it? this one, which is one of my absolute favourites, Hobbit Home Large, that one is. So that's the Hobbit house with the trees going up the side, which is really nice. And then for the sort of this sort of backgroundy thing, I actually used this stamp set, which is Background Script, which is it's a lovely stamp set. You could just stamp that, and that would be a background sorted. All the little hearts in there and everything. You know, you could really go to town with that one, I think. So those ones are the 3 that I'm going to be using. I'm also going to be using from Sentimentally Yours the Ticket Tape-tastic Essentials. Fabulous stamp set that is. Really good for all sorts of everyday sentiments. So I've used For Someone Special on that one, but there's all sorts of different ones on there. I think we've still got some of those in stock. So they will be on the website. They'll probably be in the new arrivals because we haven't long had those. Just have a quick look at the comments. And I'd love to follow your demo as I have those stamps. Oh, fabulous, Sylvia. Sylvia's already got these stamps anyway, so hopefully that'll give you some ideas. Afternoon, Bev. Oh, hello, Kim. How are you? Kim, you're the lady that popped into the shop a couple of weeks ago, aren't you? I think, if my memory serves me correct. Welcome. So, let's crack on. So I'm going to be using the A5 media plate from John Next Door. Again, because I've only been trying this one out, we haven't actually got any in stock at the moment, but we will be ordering some. So if you would like one, let us know. Oh yeah, there's more than 34 now, I think, Ian. I think it's probably about 30. This is our 35th or 36th, I think, live. So I'm going to be using a blending mat. We do have these in stock in the shop, and I think I put it. There's a link at the bottom of this live as well. So if you click on that after you've watched the live, obviously, it'll take you to our website, and most of the products that we're using today are in that particular category. So the blending mats are in there. So with this, basically all it is just a giant stamp, basically. It's just like a giant piece of stamp material, but it's not got any, no texture on it or anything. And what I tend to do is which side have I used? That side. I tend to actually stick it onto my blending mat, and then it tends to sort of stay. It grips onto it, and then you don't have to worry about it wobbling around and all sorts of things like that. So, afternoon, Alison. How are you? Righty ho. Well, I'll see if I can remember that, Peter. Thank you. It's actually, this one is actually called a media plate, Alison. But yeah, it is more or less exactly the same as jelly plates. So that is what you could do your reverse, your shadow images and things like that on. So that's something I will have to try. I might try that after I've done this one. And then we might do a live on it, you never know. Stranger things do happen. Right, so engage brain. So the first thing I'm going to do, I've got a piece of 300 gram card, and I think this one's actually our super smooth card that we sell in the shop, but any 300 gram would be fine. And all I've done is I've cut an A4 sheet in half because it's going to fit, because both of them, because I've done if you can see on this, I've actually done this layer here, which has got the stamping on it, and then I've also got another layer which is 2 layers behind, and I've done a slightly different technique. So I think what I might do on this one, should I do the same techniques in that order? Yeah, I think I'll do the same, actually. I'll stick to that, I think. So the first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to do the technique for the background. So I've chosen, I'm going to go with greens this time. So, surprise, surprise, I've gone with my Pigment inks. Oh, thank you, Ian. Ian's written down Peter's order. I'm going to go with Pigment inks. I love Pigment inks. I haven't actually used this one yet, so that'll be interesting to see what it's like. But yeah, the Spectrum Noir opaque pigment inks are amazing. I use them loads. You can use them for all sorts of different things. They're water based as well, so you can use them for stamping, inking techniques, watering techniques, and all sorts of stuff like that. So I'm going to try Spring Meadow, Grasshopper, and Pine Tree, because they're three sort of similar colours, similar tone colours. So I thought rather than doing the pinks and the purples, I'll go for the greens on this one. And I'm going to be using some afternoons. Sandra, how are you? I'm going to be using some of the smoothies. These ones are the Creative Expressions smoothies. These are the bigger ones. We also we have got some in stock, I think. And we also sell the Crafter's Companion mini smoothies. Well, I think they call them mini blending sponges or something. So they're slightly smaller. So so we've got those in stock as well. So we've actually got them in stock at the moment, which is good. So the first thing I'm going to do, because this is an A5 media plate, it's just a nice size. Sometimes when you use the bigger plates, you're going to end up wasting ink because you're not sure how much to cover. But because this is an A5, it sort of just fits perfectly on my A5 sheet of card. So that's what I'm going to work on. So I'm going to start off with the palest colour, first of all. Ooh, look at that, Spring Meadow. That's quite bright, isn't it? And all I'm going to do is I'm going to get some of the colour on my smoothie. God. I've never heard them call that before, Peter. So all I'm going to do is I'm just going to randomly apply the ink to my plate. Doesn't matter where, doesn't matter how much. just blob it on there. That's the technical term, by the way, if nobody understood that. Blob. And I've got a piece of scrap paper here. And then all I'm going to do is I'm just going to take off the excess on my scrap paper. And then I'm going to go, and the thing about this as well is, I mean, pigment inks do take quite a long time to dry anyway, and because it's one of these, it's a non-porous surface, the plate, so it won't dry too quickly either. So now I'm going to go in with my Grasshopper, get some of that on my smoothie, and blob some of that on, and just sort of start filling in some of the spaces, and just doesn't matter if you sort of blend it in with the other colours as well. La 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 la. So very technical, very difficult to do. Takes you it takes minutes to perfect. So just lobbing that on there, and then a bit down the bottom here. Just got to remember that if you're going to be using 3 colours, to make sure that you leave a bit of space for that. So that's my Grasshopper. Take off some of the excess, and then I'll go in with my Pine Tree. Afternoon, everyone. Anyone that's new or hasn't been on here before, say hello, so we can welcome you. And if you can share this live, that would be fabulous as well, so everyone else knows about it. So this is the Pine Tree, wasn't it? So it's a bit darker again. but they all sort of blend with each other, don't they? I think so. And once you've filled it up, the last thing I'm going to do is take off the excess on my little bit of paper. And then the last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to grab my spritzer bottle and get some water and do the happy clappy. So just get a little bit of water in my hands and then happy clappy. La 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 la. I do like a bit of happy clappy. There we are. And now I'm going to grab my piece of card and then put it carefully over the top and stick it down. And then, I've got a brayer here, and I'm just gonna, so any type of roller is fine, you just need to give it a bit of a roll just to make sure that the card comes into contact with all of the plate, and then it means you get a nice transfer of ink. So there's so many different techniques you can do with the jelly plates. You could use acrylic paints with it as well. You could, I think you could even use alcohol inks. They might end up staining your plate a bit. And I mean, even the pigment inks are going to stain your plate a little bit. But it's not the end of the world. Buy two, and then you can have one clean one and one for using. Hello everyone. Hello. Ooh, Lakita. That's a nice name. Loving the echo. Echo, echo, echo. Yeah, you can use dye-based inks. Yeah, the only ones I wouldn't use probably is permanent inks. There we are. So then I'll peel that off there. And there's my print. Which is quite nice, isn't it? It is a little bit more defined. You can sort of see where I've actually applied the ink. But that'll be nice for my background because you're only going to see the edges of it anyway, and then you can see all of these little blobs are where I did my happy clappies with the water. So what do you think of that? See, and the amazing thing is that it takes most of the ink off of your plate as well. So that comes off, and it's dry straight away as well. And it's really weird. It feels. I don't know, it's just got like a really sort of a soft finish to it. It feels a bit sort of velvety. Really strange. I mean, you could probably die cut that and that would be lovely, wouldn't it? Do some nice leaves and stuff like that. Afternoon, Claire. Welcome. Let's see how long I can stay clean, shall we? So that's the one. So that was easy enough, wasn't it? Easy squeezy. And then the second technique I'm going to do, which is, so basically that first one is what I'm going to be using as my outer border there. So my bigger layer. And now I'm going to do this inner one. So I'll show you how I did that, because I did that slightly differently. I just had a play basically. And that's the best way of learning, is to just have a play and see what happens. What's the worst that can happen, eh? You know, as long as it doesn't involve fire, I'm sure you'll be fine. Yeah, so when I actually did it the first time, I actually did this technique first of all. And it was interesting. But the reason I'm doing this one the second time is because on this one I'm actually going to be using gesso, white gesso. You could use white acrylic paint as well. It's just I've got plenty of white gesso here, so I thought I'd use the white gesso. So it is a bit more messy because obviously you've got to clean up the gesso afterwards. because you don't want it drying on your brayer. That's the thing. So so I may have to ask for some assistance from my little helper later on. So is everyone a fan of Lavinia stamps? I think they've got a big following. I do really like the stamps. The quality is really good as well, and they just do some lovely images, some really nice images. So the only thing you need to think about with this is it's sort of a bit of a back to front effect, because you're going to be putting a card on top of this. When you peel it off, the layer that you put on first is going to be the layer that is at the front of your card, if that makes sense. So the very last layer that I put on, when I put the white gesso on, that's actually going to be the background of my piece of card. Oh, so that's my grasshopper. Thank you, Annie. No, not me, as in you don't have lots of stamps, Pete. I think you do. Yeah, that's the best way to do it, Kim, is to just build up your collection slowly but surely. You know, you don't have to buy them all at the same time, unless your name's Pete. So this is my pine tree. So I'm just filling in all of these little gaps in my plate with the pine tree. Do a little bit of blending as well. Blobby blobs. And then I'm not going to bother with the happy clappy on this one because it probably won't really show through. I know it is can be a bit of an addiction, can't it, Kim? Once you get into buying goodies. Thank you. Right, where's my roller gone? There it is. Right, so that's the ink put onto there. And now I'm just going to use some of the Pebeo gesso. Oh yes, Catherine, that would be the most sensible thing to do, but I'm never that organised. Yeah, you know, make up another background. I mean, you could use that as a background, really, couldn't you? Or, yeah, as you say, put it on a piece of card, and then you could use that as a separate background, or you could die cut it, or anything like that. But no, I'm not that organised. Oh, hello, Noreen. Noreen's only just come back to paper crafts. So many changes. Yes, I can imagine. Yeah. There's all sorts of new things coming out all the time. Right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to put some gesso onto the onto my media plate. Blobby blobs. Oh, it's a lovely sound, isn't it? And then I'm just going to gently use my brayer to coat the back of the jelly plate, of the media plate. But you'll find that it does tend to sort of blend the colours a little bit as you're doing it. I'll probably put a bit too much on there, but there we are. And And then I shall grab my other piece of card and then put that onto there carefully and make sure it doesn't slide too much. And then I should got another brayer here, a nice clean one. So I shall carefully roll over the back of the card, only because if I make any mess on this one, Ian will moan at me. Oh, thank you. Just so that I can get a nice coating on the back of this. It doesn't sort of slide around or anything. It does tend to sort of hold its position, so you don't have to worry too much about that. So just make sure I've got a nice coating on there. And then I'm going to peel that off. Oh. Now why has he done that? That's interesting. That didn't work, did it? Maybe I used the wrong card. Maybe I used a different card last time. I think maybe last time I probably used a piece of our 300 gram. Is that the card? Yes, I think I probably used a piece of our 300 gram card last time. It worked alright on that one, but I think probably because of the gesso and everything on that, it's actually
so super smooth.
It's actually pulled it off with some of the it's actually stuck to the gel plate.
Smooth, doesn't like wet.
Oh, there we are. So we've learned something new today. So let me just clean this up.
Gavin's gained another hand.
Thank you. Yeah, so there we are. So don't use super smooth when you're doing this. It worked fine on the first technique, but I think probably because I used gesso, it's too wet for the card.
I think the last time you only rubbed your hand across the back of it.
I'm sure I rolled it last time. You got any more? Oh, see, I'm getting in a mess now. I'm getting in a right mess now. But these plates are really easy to clean. Just need a bit of water, as long as you're using water-based products. Just use a bit of water. You can run it under the tap after you've finished doing all your backgrounds if you wanted to. Right, so thank you. Right, so I'm only going to need about that much, so I just need to, I'm just going to cut this down. Bear with me 2 seconds. Right. Ooh. Right, so let's try that again, shall we? Where's my gesso gone? Oh, there it is. Right. Right, so let's try that again, shall we? Yeah, the distressed look is quite nice, but that was a little bit too distressed, I think. Because it all started to come off on the... It would have been lovely otherwise, but yeah. So let's try that again. So go in with my palest colour first of all. Afternoon, Linda. I'm a little distressed after things went pear-shaped. But there we are. It's just the way of the world. Thank you. Right. So, spring meadow, grasshopper. Chuck a bit of that on, here and there, and everywhere. And then finally in with my pine tree. Get rid of that first of all. Pine tree's actually quite a similar colour, isn't it? Just slightly deeper, I think, in colour, the pine tree. So I'm just going to fill in those little areas with this colour. Like so. Yeah, gesso is gesso. You tend to use gesso a lot for using as a base coat for anything. So especially if you're planning on painting onto MDF or anything like that, gesso is perfect for giving a nice base coat, and it just saves you having to use your nice paints, use too much of them. So. Try my gesso again. If I can get it to come out. And then give that a wipe over. Like that. Only thing you have to make sure with gesso is that you give it a good clean afterwards, just to make sure that it doesn't dry on your roller too much, because it can stick a bit. So I'm just going to give this a quick rub on this time, but this time hopefully it should go fine. Peel it off. There we are. See, that's how it's supposed to work. Yes, Kim, I will be getting them in soon. I'll be doing an order this month, because they do the A5 plates. They also do a set of 4 smaller ones. They've been out of stock for a while, but they are back as well. So we'll probably be getting those in as well. So if you wanted to start with just a smaller one, you could do that. But I mean, I think the A5 one is the perfect sort of size, really. So there we are. So that's the second one. As you can see, as you sort of roller with the brayer, it does sort of start blending the inks in with each other, which is why you shouldn't roller it too much. But it gives quite a nice sort of different sort of effect compared to that one. But the only difference is that I've used gesso on this and I haven't on that one. I've just done the happy clappy technique on that one. Okay, and it's dry straight away. That's just my hands from when I had my little meltdown just now. So yeah, it dries really quickly. I mean, it's probably still a little bit damp around the edges, but the main part of it is all dry straight away, which is good. So very interesting. And obviously if you rollered it differently, you'd probably get different shapes in there as well. I quite like those colours actually. They're quite nice, aren't they? Now Ian's walked off with my spray bottle. Where's that gone now? I don't know. You can't get the style. I don't know what he's done with it, so I just have to just wipe this up a little bit. Where's the spray bottle, Ian? Oh, it's up there. Right, so I'm just going to give this a quick spray, because these are all water-based products. They all clean with water, obviously. So, but they do, some people do say that once you've used your jelly plate a few times, it can give better impressions. I don't quite know how, but they do say that if you use it a few times, the more you use it, the better the impression is. So we shall see. Right, so I think I will leave this to the side now, because I don't really need that blending mat anymore. And I'm just going to give my hands a very quick rinse. So talk amongst yourselves. And I'm back in the room. Oh, did you have fun without me? So, the next thing I want to do is I'm going to die cut my frames. So, what I've actually used, I tend to use my old faithfuls, the from the Stately collection from Sentimentally Yours, double deboss rounded corner rectangles. I think we've got these in stock at the moment. I think we've got the squares as well in stock. So, so I'm actually using those. I've actually put these on to a magnetic sheet, but I know the new ones now, they all come with a magnetic sheet in the packaging, which is quite good. So all I've done with that is I've just stuck the cover label thing to a magnetic sheet, and then that's how I store them. Just makes it a lot easier rather than trying to peel them off those horrible sticky things and everything. So so I'm going to be, so I've cut down my black layers already, and they're going to be the two layers that I've got there, and I just need to cut these two down so that they fit like that. So I'm going to do this one as my bigger layer, and then this one with the nice areas. In fact, actually what I might do, because the sort of the lines tend to go that way, I may see if I can actually do it that way, because that tends to give more of a sort of a horizon, sort of a land sort of look to it. So I'll just quickly run these through my machine. And whenever you're die cutting anything that's got a straight line, like a rectangle or a square or anything like that, if you've got an A4 machine and it'll fit at an angle like that, it's always better to put it through your machine like that, because it'll cut through and you won't get the sort of the speed bump. You know, you get the speed bump sometimes with machines, so you won't have that problem. So it'll cut out really nice, and it'll be much easier for you as well then. So So that's that layer, and then I'm just going to do this one and make sure. So this one I want to do it that way if I can, because I could do it that way, but then it would mean the lines, the sort of the texture would be going up and down, whereas I really want it to go that way. So I'm probably going to see if I can do it right over there, and then again I'm going to make sure that I put it in my machine at a bit of an angle so that it gives a nice easy cut. Here we are. Ooh, Ian's going to be using the media plate in 2 weeks' time, apparently. Interesting. There we are. So I've got this bit down here, which I'll probably actually use a little bit later, because I need to do a sentiment. So I'll put those to the side for the moment. Get rid of my plate. There we are. And then that is my front bit. I just need to decide which way round I want to put it. Oh, I don't know which way. I'm actually using the Grand Caliber Kim, but it's only because it's a manual machine and it's quick and easy to use. I don't even know if you can get the Grand Calibers anymore, because they've been around for quite a while, those machines. But we do recommend the Gemini and the Gemini Junior. They're brilliant machines. They're the electric die cutting machines, but they are, as far as we are concerned, they are the best on the market. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to work on my image. So I'm going to get my press to impress out. Caroline's asking about the A5 plates. Do you mean the plates that I've just been using, the John Next Door one? I don't know, I've put the label now. I don't know where I put the label. If you click on the link at the bottom, it's on there. I think they're £10 something or other. Yes, I agree with you, Sylvia. Yeah, sort of the paler colour at the top, I think would be nice. So I'm going to use my trusty press to impress. And for this image, very simple image really when you think about it. It's only 2 main stamps and then just a little bit of extra. So what I need to do is, because I want the pathway to actually be in front of the Hobbit house, I need to stamp the pathway first of all, and then I need to mask it off and then stamp the Hobbit house so that the Hobbit house looks like it's actually behind. Does that make sense? Hopefully, you'll see. So what I'm going to do, because I'm not entirely sure where I want them to be laid out, what I tend to do, because they come with, both of these stamps come with the indexing sheet in them, if I can get it out. And I've also got my little mask, which I've just cut out of a piece of paper. That's all it is. It's not even stuck. It's just a piece of paper. In fact, it goes that way around actually. So I haven't even cut out the whole thing, just a little bit, and that's just going to be my mask. So I'll put that to the side and make sure I don't lose that. And then I'm going to position this on my press to impress. Put some magnets on the corners like that, and then what I'm going to do is peel the stamps away from the backing sheets. And I said about the indexing, so basically there's a printed image on the acetate sheet. Which way around does it go? Yeah, so that way. Yeah, that's right, isn't it? There we are. So what I'm going to do is to find out where I want to actually position my stamps. I'm actually going to use my indexing sheets to sort of compose my image first of all. So I don't want it to be too high, but because I want it to be sort of centered, but both of these, when they're lined up, they're not centered. I want to make sure that I'm putting the stamps in the right place. So excuse my head. I think I might go sort of there. Looks quite nice at a little bit of an angle. So as I said, I've got to stamp this one first of all. So this is the stamp I'm going to stamp first of all. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to position that onto my stamping block there. So with the stamp side down, bring over my lid and pick up the stamp. Make sure I don't leave that stuck down there, because I don't want to stick that down. There we are. Take those away, and then I'm going to be using, on the first one on this one I actually used VersaFine. VersaFine black ink, Onyx black, but this time I'm actually going to be using Archival black. The reason is that whenever I use VersaFine I tend to get into a terrible mess because it can take quite a long time to dry. I try and dry it and then I forget that it still might be a little bit wet, and then I end up putting my fingers in it. So clicking link at bottom won't let us see products because store hours are overriding and can't be clicked out of. Huh? When you go onto the website, Claire, it'll probably pop up with a little window saying that our store times are slightly different, but there'll be a little X in the corner of that window, or if you just click anywhere out of that window, it'll close, and then you should be able to access the website all right. Ooh, I'm glad that helped, Sylvia. Yeah, I only figured it out when I thought, well, how am I going to line it up? And then I thought, oh, there we are. I'll just use the index sheet. And because I'm using the Press to Impress, obviously, or any other stamping tool you could use, that's a good way of lining everything up then. So there we are. Nice clear stamp. There's a little bit of a funny there. That doesn't matter. So I'm just going to give that a quick wipe, and then I shall clean it later with my stamp cleaner. And then with the next one, I know more or less where that's going to go anyway, but I can use the index sheet just to line that one up, so I know that I'm in the right place. Pop my stamp over the top. Because they're clear stamps, you can actually see through them as well. And grab hold of that. Make sure I take my index sheet off. And then that's when I need to put my little mask on. So I'm just going to pop my little mask on the top of my little pathway. Doesn't matter, it's not stuck, but it doesn't matter because I'm only going to stamp once, hopefully, and I can always reposition it if I need to. We are hoping to be getting some of the Woodware does a stencil material that you can actually use, and that is actually proper sticky all the way through, so it's sort of got like a repositionable sticky to it. So we will be getting some of that, but we haven't got any at the moment. There we are. So ink that up, and then, oh, I do like those colours. Then the greens are nice actually, aren't they? The foldy thing, Kim. Yes, the press to impress. It's amazing. Even if you're a really good stamper, it's, you know, because Ian is a really good stamper. He's been stamping for a long time, and he still loves using the press to impress as well. The press to impress is one of our favourites. There's all sorts of different ones available, but the press to impress is one of our favourites. It does everything we want. There we are. So it's stuck to my stamp, but that's not a problem. And then what I will do now is, it may have moved a little bit when I picked it out, so I'm not going to chance restamping that. But what I might do is, because there's a couple of little areas that could do with a little bit of a fill-in, so get that off of me block, stick that over there, because that's going to bug me if I don't do that. What I'm going to do is I'm going to grab a, bear with me 2 seconds. There we are, grab my little brush. I got a really fine brush, and I've actually put a little label on it to say ink pad brush. So I know that this brush can be used, is the only one I tend to use with ink pads. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to get a little bit of the ink directly from the pad onto my brush, and then I'm just going to paint in some of the areas that weren't quite stamped properly. So it's easy enough to do this with silhouette stamps. Obviously you couldn't really do it with more intricate stamps, but it's not too bad with these sort of stamps. So just painting some of those areas. I mean, it's quite a rustic distress sort of looking image anyway, so it doesn't matter that it doesn't look perfect. No. Yep, Annie loves her press to impress as well. Yep, they are fab. A lot of our customers tend to use the press to impress. Oh, glad Noreen finds them good as well. Right, so just grab my blending mat. I seem to be disappearing a lot today, don't I? It's good workout, mind. Just so I've got something to work on. Like that. You probably could, Ian. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to grab a little scrap of paper. And I'm just going to do a little bit of a hill actually. So I'm just going to tear a little bit of paper just to give myself a little bit of a hilly sort of thing. And I'm actually going to use my, which one shall I use? Shall I go for the grasshopper? I think I might go for the grasshopper. And then I think basically where the stones, the outer stones are, I'm going to sort of line it up with that, I think. Just hold it down and then just get a bit of the ink on my smoothie, and then from the paper just brush it down a little bit, just on the ends, just to give it a little bit, oops, just give the impression that there's a bit of land there. There we are. Maybe a smidge down there as well. That's all we're going for, is just a little hint. A hint of land. A bit of a slope. You can see that? And you can see that my my pathway is actually in front of the Hobbit house as well, because I did my masking as well. So there we are. So that's that sorted. Coming together slowly. Now I'm going to do some, I'm going to get my other stamp, which is this one here. Lovely stamp this one is. This one is the background script. Don't know if the words actually mean anything. I don't know if it's in Old English or... does say, it does look as if there's some words on there that I will recognise. And then all I'm going to do with this is I'm going to just roughly stamp around the edges. I'm not even going to bother putting it onto my block. I'm just going to get my ink and then just find a little area that I want to stamp on, and then just ink that area up. It'll sort of grab hold of your fingers a little bit anyway, and then might try a different area and put a bit down the bottom. And because I'm applying pressure in different areas, it's only going to leave, it's going to stamp differently in every single area then as well. So obviously if you wanted to do more of a precise stamp, you could be a bit more particular. Try up a little bit further and do that bit there, and then a bit on the left hand side. Oops, stuck a bit there. And then at the top, in that corner. Smidge more there, and you can do second generation, third generation, just to give a few more subtler stamps as well. And I just need to, I keep using my spritzer bottle. Just give this a quick spritz, even though it's permanent ink. I should be able to take some of that off. And I'll get my my stamp cleaner on that afterwards, so that it comes up nice and clean. So I'll pop that onto there. So that's that one done. Oh, I'm making a right mess here, aren't I? Might go around and do a little bit of inking around the edges as well, just to add a bit of extra dimension. These smoothies are fabulous for just doing little bits of inking around the edges, just to give a bit of a sort of a vignette effect, I think is what they call it. I just need to make sure that I haven't got any ink on my fingers, because that's the problem I had the first time I did this. I still had ink on my fingers, and then I was holding the card down and getting ink all over the place, and I got into a right mess. So I'm trying not to do that today. So these inks do blend really nicely as well, the opaque pigment ink pads. They're very similar to Distress Oxide inks. In fact, I think they're probably more or less the same as the Distress Oxide inks. But they're cheaper. I think these pads are £5. That's what we sell them for. Whereas I think the Distress Oxide is something like £7.50 or something, which seems a lot for an ink pad. There we are. So that's quite nice, isn't it? Go a little bit further in there. Just so it's not quite so defined. Oh, you could spend hours playing with this, couldn't you? Hours and hours and hours. Or I could anyway. Just get rid of some of my excess. Da, da, da. Oh, glad you enjoy it, Sylvia. That's what it's all about, is just sharing techniques and ideas and showing what to do and what not to do as well, because obviously I made a bit of a boo-boo with my first technique. And also that's all sort of nice and atmospheric now. Looks all mystical, and I do like all that mystical pixies and fairies and all that sort of stuff. It's definitely my thing. Not everyone's thing, but it's what I enjoy doing, so why not, eh? Why not? There we are. So that is that. Now I'm just going to give that a quick blast with my heat tool, just to make sure everything is dry. Only thing you need to be careful about with these blending mats is they don't like heat, so try not to get your heat tool on them, because it'll start buckling a bit. Yes, I know I keep wasting the ink, Ian, but there we are. Right, so the next thing I need to do, I'm going to put a bit of glitter on there. So I'll grab my my 2-in-1 glue pen. This one is the Sticks 2 2-in-1 glue pen, but you could use a quickie glue pen as well, or any other type of glue pen that you've got. And I'm just going to go over some of these areas with a little bit of the glue. Doesn't matter where you go really, you can cover the whole thing if you wanted to, or you could just pick out little areas. You know, there's no right or wrong way of doing this. I tend to like sort of highlighting the darker areas of the pathway as well a little bit. But yeah, you can go to town with the glitter if you wanted to. You can go all over the place. Cover the whole thing if you wanted. A couple of little spiky bits there. And then you've got my tree. I could do bits of the tree as well. And some of the branches. Look a bit like snow, really, couldn't it? On the branches of my tree. Oh. Chuck a bit of glitter on that. And this is just an iridescent glitter. Some of the areas are still a little bit damp actually because it's a pigment ink. The pigment inks do tend to take a little bit longer to dry. So sometimes it can sort of grab hold of those areas a little bit as well, which is actually quite nice because it just sort of picks it up in little areas. Well, so there's a little bit of bling, because one does love a little bit of bling. So that's that done. Pop that away. Oh, I do like that. Do like that. It's the iridescent glitter is lovely as well because it just sort of it's not too in your face really, if you know what I mean. Right, and now I need to find my little offcuts because I just need to do a quick sentiment. So I'll show you how I do my sentiment. And I will probably, because I'm going to be using the Ticket Tape-tastic Essentials, these ones are actually a negative stamp. So anything that's in black is actually what gets stamped, and the white areas it doesn't stamp. So so for example on this one, for someone special, you can actually see the background of the piece of card through the letters. So that means that obviously you wouldn't stamp it onto black card because then you wouldn't end up seeing anything. But you can stamp onto any type of card, and then your letters will actually come out that particular colour. Or you could just stamp it on white, and then they would just come out white if you wanted. So I'm going to do it on this bit, I think. Just got my little bit of, because this is obviously from the same sheet. It's going to match up perfectly with colour wise, and it's going to look fabulous. So I think I'm going to go with Birthday Wishes. It's a nice one, isn't it? Birthday Wishes, if I can get it off. Birthday Wishes. And these stamps are so thick, it's amazing. Really, you can really tell with these ones because most of it is sort of the polymer, the photopolymer. So they are really good quality stamps, these ones are. And then Oh, now that'd be interesting if I can actually do the birthday. Don't know how well it'll show up. But I can try that, couldn't I? Because I can have the birthday in the paler colour and then the wishes in the darker colour. Interesting. What have you been talking about then? Oh, I'm so pleased, Kim. That's what they're for. And the beauty of these lives as well is you can go back to them as many times as you like. Stop sticking. It's the first time I use this stamp. And watch them again. So if you're ever stuck for a card, just have a look at our lives and you might get some inspiration. And I'm just going to quickly use my anti-static pad because I'm going to be doing some embossing. I want to make sure that the area is anti-static, because if the ink is still a little bit damp, the embossing powder will stick to the areas that I don't want it to stick to. And I want it to be hopefully a nice crisp image. And I tend to get everything ready beforehand. So I get my little piece of paper to catch my embossing powder beforehand. I get my embossing powder open, and I've got my ink pad ready. I've got my heat tool ready. So I'm sorted. So because I'm going to just have a black finish, you can use clear embossing, a clear watermark ink pad, and then stamp with black embossing powder. But the only problem with that is if you do get any black embossing powder in areas that you don't want it to be, it's not so bad on this one because I'm actually going to be cutting around it, so it doesn't matter if there's any little bits here and there. But quite often if you're stamping anything else and embossing it, if you do it this way, you won't notice if there are any stray bits of embossing powder. Now hopefully that hasn't moved and I should be able to stamp that again. And this is VersaFine, but VersaFine stays wet, as I said earlier. VersaFine stays wet for a long time, so it's ideal for using with clear embossing powder. There we are. So take that off of there, get my piece of paper, pour my powder on. There we are, so that's stuck on there now. Put the powder back into my pot. This piece of card I think is probably an antique by now. I've used it, I've had it for ages. Just keeps coming out every time I emboss. I get my old faithful piece of paper out. Just give that a quick wipe over. The VersaFine does tend to come off quite well actually. I will give it another clean afterwards though, just to make sure that it's all right. So put that aside, and then I'm going to heat from underneath. Tend to get a smoother finish if you heat from underneath. Well, I think I did about 3 or 4 lives on alcohol inks actually, Annie, and they would be perfect for Lavinia stamps as well. You get a lovely glossy finish with this. Just give a really nice finish. Try not to burn my hands. There we are. So that's my birthday wishes. So as you can see, the birthday is sort of got this paler green colour on it, and then the wishes has got the sort of the darker colour. It's very subtle, but there is a little bit of a difference. But yeah, as you can see, you do get a really nice glossy finish with that as well. Very nice. So I'm just going to get my scissors, and it should be dry, and then just cut that right up to the edge. Obviously you don't have to do this, you could mat and layer it, or you leave a little bit of a border around the edge, but I quite like it cut right off like that. So my birthday wishes. Ooh, yeah, heat embossing is fab. Never gets old, Kim. Right, so now I need to stick everything together, and then I am finished, I think. So get my black pieces, and I always tend to use black. I just can't get away from using black. I like using black because I just think it gives a really nice, it does give a really nice finish. I might use this one this time. A little bit of the all-purpose glue. And again, you just need to decide which way around you want it, whether you want it that way or that way. It doesn't really matter too much on this one, I don't think, because you're only going to see the edges anyway, so just get some of that on there. Doopy-doopy-doo. Ooh, what's the weather like where everyone is? Is it horrible? I'm in Caerphilly, and it's not been too nice today. It's just been a very drizzly day today. It's not too bad now, I don't think. A bit of blue sky out there. Perfect day for crafting. Yes, indeed, Noreen, thank you. Black does make everything pop. Some people think it's a morbid colour, but no, I like it. I think it just really defines everything and does make everything pop, I think. So obviously with this, if you wanted, you could use foam pads. I tend to be conscious about if I'm going to be posting anything. The post is so expensive these days, and because it goes by thickness, I try to keep everything relatively flat if I can. Oh, hello, Donna. You quiet? There's a change. Ooh, now where's that then, Noreen? Siloth? Where's that then? Never heard of that one. Ah, South Shields. Oh, I know where that is. Up north. Lovely and sunny in the northeast. It's usually sunny in Wales, but not today. Yeah, I do like these colours, and that's the thing with this, is you can do more or less exactly the same card, but just vary the colours. Just do slightly different colours. And you end up with two completely different looking cards. Cheeky sausage. Ah, it's in Cumbria. Ooh, on the Solway Firth. Ooh, lovely. Sounds lovely. Cumbria. There we are. So that's that. And then I just need to put my little sentiment. I always like to put a sentiment on a card. And I've just got a nice little area down the bottom. Now on the first card, I put my sentiment on the bottom left. So do I put it on the bottom left on this one? Or do I put it, I'm not going to put it on the right because it will look silly. Or do I put it in the middle? This is always the most challenging bit, is where to put your sentiment. I'm leaning towards the left again. What do we think? Middle or left? You decide. Oh, Ian says left. And I'll use my Mitaki glue for this one, just to make sure that it's, because it grabs really well, this does. Doo-doo-doo-doo. Yep, I think on the left. Lovely jubbly. And of course you could put that on foam pads as well if you wanted. Oh, trust you, Peter. In the door. There we are. So that's that one done. That's all stuck on there now. So it's still, as you can see, it's quite thin. And then obviously you can just put that onto, stick that onto a standard card if you wanted to, or make your own card up. Be quite nice actually, wouldn't that? I think that's everything, isn't it? Yeah, I think I've done everything now. Did we enjoy that? Little bit of fun. Hopefully you found that interesting and might have picked up some tips from that. I've lost my squirty tool thing again. There we are. Oh, glad you enjoyed, Sylvia. Thank you. Just hold them up a little bit closer so you can see them as well. You know, so they look completely different, but they're the same. They're just different colours, mainly. There we are. So, I was just going to say, Ian, anyone that comes to our classes in the shop, we are running them again. So if anyone is interested in booking in for September's class, we do have spaces available. If you go on the website and click on the classes and events section, there's a calendar on there with all availability. Oh no, you could add a fair if you wanted to, Annie. But if you're not able to come to our classes, we are running our classes, we're doing them online as well now. So what we do is every month Ian records the class that he teaches in the shop. He records a step-by-step tutorial video, and then we upload it to a private Facebook group. So if anyone wants to buy the class, if you go to our website and click on the online classes section, all the classes that we've got are on there, and I think there's 3 on there at the moment, but after I put the September one on there, there'll be 4. And then once you pay for the class is £10. Once you pay for the class, we send you an invite on Facebook, and then very similar to Facebook Live, you can access the group. You can watch the video as many times as you want. You can pause it, rewind, all that sort of stuff. And you'll also be able to post your finished projects of that card on the group as well, and everyone else that comes to the classes in that month will also post their, hopefully, will post their pictures on the group as well. So so it'll be a nice way of allowing people to interact with each other, share ideas about the class, show their sort of take on it as well. So I'm just going to give you a very quick preview of the card. This one is it's a layered 3D card, but it actually folds flat. So it's a very clever idea that Ian's worked out, and it's using some of the Sentimentally Yours Christmas stamps. So that's the card. So as you can see, there's sort of layers, different layers on there. It's quite 3D. And of course there's lots of bling on there because it's Christmas. So there we are, so that's that. So if anyone would like to book in for the class in the shop, just let us know. And if you want to order the class online, if you're a bit further afield, then just go to the website and click on the online classes section, and you can purchase it there. We don't do kits for the classes, Noreen, but it tends to be quite standard sort of things that Ian tends to use. He doesn't tend to use really exotic sort of products, so it may be that you've already got those sort of things in your craft stash anyway. It may be something that we might think about doing actually, if people would be interested in having a kit to do the class. Yeah, so our first class is actually tomorrow, isn't it, I think? So yes, and so if you do go onto the website and onto the online classes section, we do actually put a list of whatever you need for that particular class as well. So that will give you an idea of the type of products that you'll need for the online class. So obviously, if you haven't got them, then you're probably not going to buy the class. Yeah. So maybe kits would be a good idea. Something else for us to think about. Whee! Just finally, just want to show you, I had a lovely anniversary card from my mum in the post this morning. She's done some really nice, she's embossed and she's used some inking techniques, and I think this is one of Julie Hickey's flower stamps, which is pretty, isn't it? And a nice bit of I don't know if that's gilding polish actually on the front. It might be a bit of gilding polish. Had that through this morning, which was rather nice, isn't it? A nice anniversary card for Ian and me we've been together 21 years now. Ooh. But there we are. So just thought I'd show you that. So thank you for joining us, and we shall I'll upload. Oh, I think I'm buffering at the moment, so hopefully you can still see me. But we'll upload this to Facebook, and it'll also go onto YouTube, and so you'll be able to watch it again later on if you wanted to. All right, well, take care everyone, and we shall see you soon. Thank you for joining us. Bye.